So are we in it?
All right, there we go.
Are we doing this?
We did it. We're good.
Okay.
Should we start over?
Yeah, I think we should start
Just
over.
for the audio version.
So
Okay.
we have to start over.
Hello, I'm Tom,
And I'm Heather.
and you're sitting at the couples table
The Couples Table is a weekly live stream podcast. Join us.
that you can hear because we
On-
didn't mess up the sound.
Yes. Join us for better or worse.
And in sickness and in health,
for richer or poorer.
audio and no audio, as long as we both shall live.
It's been a long day.
Oh my gosh, I just forgot to plug in the thing.
The
and then
entire
plugged it in.
system.
Yeah. Sorry, the computer we use to stream this is also the one that I use at work all day. So I come home immediately from work and reset everything up. And
I know. See, we should have done this on a different day where you weren't going in.
I don't
to
know.
work.
It's
Well,
all
that's
a mess.
So anyway, regulars tuned into the chat already. It is great to see you guys. We've got Ron, Tusif, how do you say his name?
Derek?
No, Aaron or something. It's like the European version. Faith T, Derek, all of the peoples. Thanks for being here. We are so excited to see you. And personally, I'm really glad you guys are here because I think Tom could use I was gonna say a pep talk, but I think he needs to vent. So
I don't know what it is. I need to go to therapy, and I haven't gone since pre-pandemic.
he hasn't gone since pre-pandemic. There's been a lot of stuff that probably needed therapy. But we got into a little bit of a thing yesterday. I mean, it was a very, very minor thing. And I was like, you know what? We were supposed to do a stream about The Social Dilemma, the documentary that is out on Netflix. Ron, I saw that you saw it. And we were going to talk about that because it's very relevant to what we do and everything that we play with and work with and all of the things. And we'll probably say that for next week.
Mhm.
Because I think Tom is very, he's got a lot on his plate. I mean, you say it all the time. I've just got a lot on my plate.
Mhm.
And we're not going to work through it, but
We aren't going to solve anything.
I think just talking about it
Yeah.
will help.
Sure.
So let's check into the comments. If you want to try Spanish. Oh, there you go. Aaron.
Hey,
That's
that
what
was
it is.
good. Filipino.
To see $20 per hour, Tom. I'll do 18. Therapy it is.
You accept
Are we going to
California
hold
Blue
hands
Shield?
in a circle? Honestly, I don't know what. I don't know. I don't know.
Literally halfway through the day today at lunch, I was like browsing YouTube and a thumbnail of me popped up and said Tom is stressed out. And I was like, what is this video? And then I realized it was the preview for this episode.
Yeah.
So we're sort of just jumping in. But okay, so yesterday.
Why don't you say, yeah.
Let's start with yesterday.
Let's start with yesterday. Okay.
So now that we are 6 weeks into the new school year,
Okay.
that is roughly 110, 115 Zoom classes that I've gone through. Well, Zoom classes and meetings for school.
He's been counting.
It's a lot. Keeping in mind that also my teenage students have gone through just as many, which is a lot to handle. And overall, I think it's actually going really well. It's a lot of Zoom time. And then after that, last night, I was in a public arts commission meeting on Zoom, while simultaneously there was a Zoom meeting for our school district to sort of talk about the timeline for reopening schools and the process for that. And that's been a big area of anxiety for me because I'm nervous about it and I'm nervous about decisions that will be made. And so far, reading about what's happening across the country, there are places that are doing things very badly and things are going very wrong. And I feel our area has done really good since school closed. And so far, every decision that has officially been made is one that I agree with and one it's what I would have chosen and it's what I would have done. But getting to that point, that's never the first impulse. It's always the first impulse is not great. and then it kind of gets reworked and adjusted, and then it becomes something, more reasonable. So it's been sort of that process like 3 or 4 times now. And it's scary. And now that we're talking about how to bring groups of people back together, my anxiety levels are higher with that for 1,000 different reasons. And yeah, so I kind of came out. There was a board member at the meeting last night that said a bunch of things I really disagreed with. Most of the board members were saying things I agreed with.
And for people who don't know, these board members are
for our school district, and that's like the deciding body, the governing body of the school district. Yeah. And one of them was just saying
the boss of the boss for Tom.
One of them was saying things that I disagreed with, that I felt were like super anti-teacher. And I was kind of appalled that they would even have kind of the guts to say these things. But I left that and was feeling like really stressed out. And so I was just was done with both of those meetings, went out and like just kind of like vented about being frustrated. And Heather was being supportive by giving me perspective. But I did not want perspective at that time. What I wanted was someone to go, Tom, you're right. This sucks, which I know isn't helpful. Like that's not going to go anywhere. But sometimes it's like, I don't know. That just took me to a place.
Yeah, he really went somewhere. Like straight up. And I quote, he said, I don't think I've ever been more depressed or stressed out in my life. Which he quickly corrected himself, because I'm sure he could think of way more stressful
I said
situations.
Almost.
Yeah, but it was, yeah.
I do still kind of stand by that. But that's an issue for a different thing, I guess. But yeah, it's been a really rough time. And my position in terms of my career is one of support. So it's providing support for lots of people. There's zero support for us. And that's really tough, because you have to be like a pillar and a support provider and a positive thing. And there's no like, it's not like someone leans on this person, they lean on this person, they lean on this person. It's just everyone leans on you and you are just the pillar. And that is exhausting. And I'm a little getting tired of it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And I've been actually thinking about it today.
Okay.
Because I was like, maybe I am.
Which I had a great day today, by the way. Today was a terrific day.
That's awesome. I have been wondering if maybe I'm not being as supportive as I can be, as a wife, as a partner, because I felt like when he talked to me, he got more frustrated, which is not supposed to happen. But for me, it's really hard there's so many things and we can get into it, but the primary thing for me is like when someone is venting to me about something, I'm an action person. So it's really hard for me to be like, like, I don't want to pity you. I don't want to like just sit here and say words that don't mean anything. I'm very much of like, what can we do? What are our options? Can you look at it a different way? Can you change your mindset? What is in your control to fix the situation that you are in right now? And a lot of it is a mental grit game, and I wish it were like, people, all the situations and circumstances that are beyond your control will happen exactly the way that you want them, but that's not in your control. So I don't focus on that. I focus very much on like, let me remind you that although this has been a big pain in the butt, we've spent more time together than ever. We've been able to raise a puppy during this time. Like there's so many good things that have come out of this. And if you guys have watched Tom's newest video that he uploaded this morning, he's the kind of guy who really like, okay, if this is how it's going to be, I will go all in. I will take it to the next level and I will do it to the best of my ability. So that is what he's done. So that's why when yesterday happened, I was just kind of like, where is this? It just didn't match like what I have, I feel like I have a good, like barometer reading on Tom. And for some reason yesterday, it was just like, it just caught me completely off guard. And I was like, I didn't realize it was like this bad. And so that's why I kind of just wanted to get into it a little bit.
Well, I mean, I also like acknowledge yesterday, hey, so I just kind of need to vent. Like there is nothing you can say that's going to make it better. And there's, you don't need to. Like, it's just sometimes I just need to. Like, there were 2 times when I was going through college where I remember like, I'm done. I'm just going to drop out because this sucks. I'm making no money. I'm spending a bunch of money and I'm exhausted all the time. And there's no real goal, like end game in sight. I could just like, I'm making more money. I could make more money if I just like kept working at the grocery store or whatever.
Right.
And I knew I wasn't going to, but me just saying, I'm done. I think I'm
Right.
just done was really nice. Cause it's when you do that, it's like, okay, I have control. And then like you said last night, it just becomes your choice. So like you said, when you quit your job and then you went from having like big salary and benefits and all this stuff to none of that, that there was all this adjusting and it would have been easy to feel like depressed and frustrated, but instead you're like, this is my choice, so I'm not going to complain. This is my choice. I'm going with it. And it's like, okay, if I'm choosing to be in this situation, then
because see, and I think that's what it comes down to, because I mean, you can elaborate more on why this sucks so much. Like,
Sure.
I don't think that we've really tapped the iceberg there, but like, to me, I feel like Tom is in the best position with options, you know, like quitting your job sucks. Like, that's not going to be, you know, unless there's something lined up that's like a million times better. But right now, I think that's going to be really hard to come by. But Tom is very talented. He's capable. He has a personal brand that like has, you know, reach and clout, and he's built a network of people that are in the industry that he, you know, loves. I honestly think that he's the most equipped to pivot to something else. And so many people have had to adapt during this whole COVID thing. And I'm not worried, you know, like if he, heck, I've been begging him since the first day we met. Like, you should start your own thing. Why am I over here starting my own thing? You're way more capable. It's going to be it's going to be like awesome. Like, whatever you end up doing is going to be amazing. But you are not, you know, and,
right.
and I get it. Your job is cool, but also it's not what you signed up for originally. Like, a lot of stuff has changed. But yeah, it is a choice, you know. It's like, I don't think you're in a position where, you know, I had heard this story of like, or you told me there, you know, someone who's like pregnant needs the health insurance. You can't leave because you don't get health insurance, even if you did get a new job for another, you know, for a couple months. So it's like, you have no option. You have got options, you know, like.
Well, let's check in with the chat and see what our options are. Let's check in with
the chat, he said. Okay, here we go. Right off the bat, Faith T says, this is a really important conversation. Had an ex-BF break up with me because I didn't say the right thing when he got rejected a big job offer. Didn't like consoling at all, but really wanted that. Yeah, it's not like, what is consoling? That's
so here's, I would call it empathizing, because I have learned this with you. Because I am a fixer. And when you have a problem, my first thing is, what do you need? How do we do it? Let's do this. What about this? Let's do that. And I have learned so many times that there is nothing that can be done. But if I just listen to the problems, empathize with it, and go like, I mean, we just did it like a little while ago, because you told me about your morning this morning where you're like, oh my gosh, I spent 2 hours like working on this one thing and I went this direction. I realized like I didn't mean to do that. And I had wasted my whole morning because I just needed to go over here. And I was like, there's nothing I can say that's going to fix that. Like, well, hey, you learned some valuable, I can just, instead I just said, it really sucks that you spent that much time doing something that didn't end up needing to be done in the end, which is just like restating what happened. But that was like my way of just listening and empathizing. I'm not going to fix it. I can't jump in and help in any way. I can't reverse time, but I can go like, that really sucks. Like, I understand feeling frustrated when you're like, I just spent 2.5 hours of my morning doing something that was nothing and I have so much on my plate. And I think that's more what it is, rather than like, you're right, you are the victim. Because that's almost like a weird form of enabling. Like, that doesn't help, you know. Really
quick, completely off topic, but congrats on 29,000, Tom.
Yay! It's really cool.
See?
I know, I'm very happy about that.
So yeah, like, but also this is a situation that's been going on obviously since the beginning of the school year.
Yeah. We've been in this situation since March, where it's also just through a number of reasons. Like, teachers are vilified right now, If you're a teacher, you
Well, really explain what you mean, because I don't. Is anyone else here a teacher? I don't think so. And
I think Dan was here. Dan is a teacher.
Dan, hi Dan.
But
Fancy bearded.
he's in a different state. But
explain what the situation is, because I honestly think that people have more exposure to the students, right? Like
Sure.
They live with a student, or they know someone who has a student in their home, and Zoom's been a mess. They can't figure out the tech, blah-de-da. It's a whole like.
So I don't know, like statistic numbers. It could just be a very vocal minority, but both in terms of like people in power, like positions of power, locally, state, nationally, and then also just parents. Not all, of course, but like many just view teachers right now as like being lazy, being entitled, being disorganized. That's why, you should just like, everybody just needs to go back to school like normal. If you don't like it, you should just quit your job. And it's like you wouldn't tell that to any other professional who went to school for 8 to 10 years to get their training and certifications and their degrees, their multiple degrees. You wouldn't say like, oh, if you don't like the situation, then you should just quit. It's like, no. And then the frustrating part is obviously nobody has any answers. So like that meeting I listened to yesterday, they're literally doing the best that they can with the information that they have and the processes they have to follow. And it's just not something that you can get definitive decisions in the moment. And it just sort of takes time, which is fine. And it's just been that though for so many months that I am just getting tired, especially when it's, being told what a bad job we're doing. And the rules are also being made by people who haven't been in a classroom, in many cases, literally this millennium. So it's like, oh yeah, you just have kids social distance and wear masks. It's like, we can't even get our kids to wear lanyards on a normal day. Are you kidding me? And now you want them to just like sit like robots with like masks on, separated from each other. That's going to work for half a day. And then what do you do the rest of the year? Like, that's the stuff, that it's just so unrealistic. Or somebody will say, I go to Home Depot all the time and Home Depot's open. If Home Depot and Walmart are open, a school should be open. And it's like, yeah, but you don't go to Home Depot all day, every day. You go to Home Depot for 25 minutes. And if you're like me, you try to avoid anyone else, even when there's no pandemic. So like, it's not equivalent.
Like 2,000 people.
Yeah, it's not equivalent at all. But the thing with school is because everybody friggin' went to school, they think they know how to like function in one, and they don't, especially when it comes to actually managing a classroom, and especially when it comes to a situation where so many people in charge of making those decisions, if they've ever been in a classroom. In some cases, it was a whole career. They spent 20 or 30 years in the classroom, then went to like a policy-making position or an administrative position. In other cases, people spent like 4 years in a classroom 25 years ago, and then got moved into a new position and have never been, never set foot in like the day-to-day. This is what it's like to not just teach a subject, but also like be the support provider for teenagers who in normal times are already going through like tumultuous things. Then pile on something that no one is equipped to deal with. And then you're supposed to just like have every answer. And I don't know. I heard somebody, there was a teacher that was like, I started just telling my kids, I don't know, I just work here, when they ask them stuff. And the kids started laughing and they're like, no, I'm serious. Like, I don't know. I just work here. I don't have the answers. And it was like a weird shift in the students that were like, wait, the teacher like doesn't know.
Right. Because the teacher's supposed to know everything.
Yeah. And I kind of had that moment. And I realized that just yesterday, a student was asking me, in a Zoom meeting about something that has nothing to do with my class, totally different thing on campus. And like, I was showing a quick like tutorial video, and then she had sent me a message and I was like, oh, here's that. And then very quickly, like, here, I found the link, here's this. And then it was asking more details. And finally I was like, this is actually not my area at all. I'm just like scouring the school website to try to do links, but here's where you should go to find out that info or whatever. But I was like, oh, that's where I should go. Like, I don't know. I just work here. Like, I don't know. That's not my thing.
Okay. I have thoughts. So I can't say I've been in the situation, but I can say that I empathize because I've been in a situation similar. But here's what I think is so frustrating to Tom, based on his personality, the type of person that he is, and like his values and his priorities and all of the things. It's really, 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 really demoralizing and, like discouraging and I don't know, whatever the opposite of being inspired is. It's like being kicked to the curb, I guess.
Being outspired.
Yeah. When pandemic or not, nothing about the way that Tom feels about his career, his job, his dedication to his students, his classroom philosophy, his hopes for everyone that he works with, all of that, nothing has changed.
Mm-hmm.
But because of the pandemic, for some reason, everyone else is undermining these teachers who are still teachers, who have just, if anything, they're more dedicated now, but that's not being considered at all. And they're just being viewed as like, oh, you just don't want to go to work. You just want to sit on the couch and not actually like do any real work. I'm sure you're enjoying all the time off and body. I mean, these are comments that I've heard and seen on social media and stuff. And, I don't know. I'm sure that's really frustrating.
What I can say to that too is, since working from home more, and I don't remember if it was my podcast or one of ours or whatever, but somebody asked this question, and I mentioned like I have to be really careful now to basically just work my contract hours, which is usually something you kind of do out of protest. Like if the union is negotiating for something, like we're just working the contract, and I've had to be careful of that because it could just easily go into the night, the evening, after the
you got to set the boundaries.
Yeah, especially like when I'm doing my job here, like this is where I teach most of my classes from, is this where we're sitting right now. And this is also the room where I do fun creative side projects. It's the room where I just hang out and play my music. So I need that boundary of like, okay, work is over, I'm done, for my own sanity, which is actually then for the first time really ever, I'm working like regular hours and not extra hours, which is great. And like, I think that's a good thing. And I also recognize that as soon as they were like, hey, your job is basically live streaming now, I was like, hey, I'm uniquely prepared for this situation. But there are other teachers for whom that isn't the case. And their subject matter like isn't, like
math.
Well, if I have a class and a
Science.
student is like, what's the deal with that microphone you're using? We can literally just have a whole class about microphones, and it's related to the topic because that's what the class is. If you're doing AP US history, that's very different. And if you're a teacher who's the best teacher in the world, but you've been doing kind of the same basic thing for 20 years, 30 years, now you have to like, your day just went from being normal working hours to 60, 70 hours a week because you're trying to just navigate,
figure stuff out,
all these things. And and it's,
you're learning a completely different way of doing your job.
Brand new job. It's entirely different. And that's, and then when people say like, oh, you don't want to go back because you just want a longer vacation, it's like, that's not the case. And I mean, there's many teachers who are teaching on campus in empty classrooms because they want to be
like you.
I do that a couple days a week just to sort of like keep things going. And there's a few things that I can only do actually on campus. I can't do them elsewhere. But 3 days a week I'm here, because it is super safer. Like people on our campus, students have COVID, like,
Thank God for the Beatles. I'm an elementary teacher, and what Tom has been saying is very true across the country. Many of our experienced teachers are talking about leaving or taking early retirement.
Yeah, in the month of August, there was a poll done where 47% of teachers considered a career change. It's almost half.
Okay, so let's get into that.
Yeah, for sure. Like
is it on the table?
Yes,
have you thought about it?
The card is in the deck. Like, I don't want to leave my job, and I don't want to publicly go on saying like, hey, because that's not going to end well. But let's put it this way. I have faith, despite the fact that I am very stressed out, I have faith that our local areas are making good decisions, because so far the track record is they've only made good decisions. And that brings me comfort. But I've seen enough stories from across the country where places made bad decisions. And if there's a bad decision made, like I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
Like, and there's no option, like there's really no option. Like you can sort of choose things. There's really no option. And so like, I don't, it's the nuclear option would be like a job change. I don't want that, but just knowing that the option is there is at least like, hey, there's a little bit of, a little bit of agency in the situation. And I think that is important. Because at a certain point, like if things do get insane and it becomes like almost abusive, then it's like, well,
I think the thing that the whole thing frustrates me. I mean, because obviously this is the man I care about most in the whole entire world. And there's no way in hell I don't even care. Like what's really bizarre to me is how much prep and what are they called? Fire drills and earthquake drills and active shooter drills and all I used to work at a school. There's so much like emergency preparedness that is done. Okay. And for some reason, this is literally the opposite. Like, forget the emergency that's actually happening. Go back to school. And some people are even saying just fully open, which is totally
and some schools
insane
have.
to me.
And then teachers died. Like, for real.
Yeah,
it's not
I'm
like a hypothetical thing.
That,
it's like teachers, not the like 86-year-old teacher or whatever, or the substitute or whatever, like a 28-year-old like first year teacher, like 42-year-old like teacher of the year, like that. I don't know. It is frustrating because like active shooter drills are a thing that I have been in many times. I've been in actual luckily not active shooting situations. There was a weird situation during a student trip that involved a crossbow and some jewelry store thieves, and it's a whole thing. And fortunately, we had done active shooter training. And so while I had all these students at a hotel and a thing, we were able to keep them safe, even though it's a completely insane situation. And when you do the active shooter thing, a big part of it is literally like, okay, you might have to take the bullet to protect the group as the teacher. Like that's kind of part of it, in worst case scenario. And okay, every teacher I know doesn't like that, but is like, that's the thing. And we have our plans and we have this and we have that. So it's literally like you signed up to teach math or digital media or whatever. And like, also like you might need to get shot if worse comes to worse. But you need to be okay with that. And then
sorry, I'm laughing. It's just
and then when it comes to like, well, there's this thing that's going around and it's very dangerous and we don't understand. There's no vaccine. When you're uncomfortable with like being in a crowded group of people that you really can't control. Oh, that's just like, I know you were willing to die for these students. And I know your school's given out 3 million literally free meals since the school closed, but like, how dare you? And that's the attitude where I'm just like,
well, so
I
was listening to a little bit of this board meeting that was happening. And there was one parent who had submitted a comment that said something like, it's the teacher's moral obligation.
There's a lot of it's your moral obligation. It's your ethical responsibility. Yeah. It's like, no, it's
to be teaching our kids, which is like
not. You should go back to school and learn what those things mean because it's not that. Anyway, I do like our teacher union president was like, students are falling behind and students are dealing with stress and trauma. And she's like, those are all things you can recover from. You can't recover from being dead.
I just wish like that, it just doesn't seem like I know this might be a vocal minority, but
yeah,
I wish I could watch this, or I wish I could talk to them and just be like, I know you want everything to go back to normal.
Everybody does.
But everybody does.
Yes.
Probably the teachers most of all. And you're not considering that. And, if that's not an option, then don't blame the teachers. Come up with a solution. Do you know what I mean? Like, why is it that, I don't know. I mean, that's
just like reorganize priorities,
like fingers. And
this sucks and it's rough, but like, okay, if it means that my family or anybody, and not just me, but like your family, your students, you get to be safe and healthy and alive. Hey, that's probably worth it.
Yeah.
Ron
says, could be that if Tom's subscriber number keeps growing at this rate, it might make the decision to switch careers a lot easier. That's what I was telling him yesterday.
I mean, the other thing about the pandemic is it's really given me a different appreciation for my job in a time when people are really losing their stuff. Having like security, having a good salary, having insurance, those are very valuable things. Having a reasonably set schedule, like, I do appreciate that stuff. I'm really trying not to sound like a spoiled brat because that stuff is something I really appreciate.
So what would you like to happen?
I mean, there's nothing. There's just when I say there's a bunch
in a perfect world where there's no vaccine yet, but
okay. In a perfect world, I would love to be in charge of my own time. for as much of my time as I possibly can.
No, I mean like in this situation. Like
like right now?
Yeah. Well, obviously.
Okay. If I were in charge of everything, I would say we're doing online school the rest of the school year and then a full return in the fall. Pending like facts and data and stuff. But the reason for that is because most schools, mine included, are planning to do this hybrid thing where it's like students are coming some of the days, students are coming the other days. And I understand
like it's so much more trouble than it's
from
worth.
someone who's not in a classroom, that makes sense. If you're in a classroom, you're just like, cool, it's the worst of both worlds.
Yeah.
It's wildly ineffective, but it feels good because people are on campus. So it's all of the ineffective parts of teaching online with the danger of teaching in person. Like, wow, we super win, but it sounds good because people are back in the classroom, even though like they're kind of not. And I just think that that's a really ineffective stopgap, but that's sort of an inevitable thing that's going to happen. So I just have to kind of bite my tongue and deal with it. If it were up to me, I would say to the end of the year. The reason for that is even if things clear up and there's a magic miracle in January or something, the whole thing of like, well, we're doing this potentially for another month, maybe for another 6 weeks, maybe for this. That's a very different mindset than we're doing this the rest of the year.
Commit, yo.
Yeah, if I can if I can plan stuff now for April.
Yeah, that'd be amazing.
I mean,
like just commit and just know that here, this is what the circumstances are going to be like for as long as we can see. Like, it's just, this is how it's going to be. Deal with it.
And I feel like that's a really, I feel like that's a probably longer than necessary thing to say all the way till June. Hopefully within that time, numbers and statistics go in a good direction. Hopefully within that time, a vaccine is developed and able to be distributed, which would then mean, hey, if that's the case and you've been vaccinated, then in the fall, you just go back to school like normal. And it's just, you're in class and it's normal where you can actually like teach and learn and stuff and like have social things. But this weird middle ground is like, nobody does well in uncertainty. Nobody thrives in uncertainty. And if you can eliminate it,
everything is moving.
I think that's effective.
Too many moving parts.
So that's what I would do.
It's just stressful for everybody.
But I'm not in charge, and that's also not what's happening. So,
hi. So you really want to teach chemistry? That's cool. This is your classroom, and make sure you dive in front of any gunfire because that's a big part of this subject.
Yeah, it's true. Make sure like we don't want to panic the kids, but we're gonna pretend like there's an active shooter on campus, and and then sometimes that happens.
How are your students feeling? Like Tom's really good about let's do check-in, guys.
Yeah, it's a mixed bag. I mean,
and also let's be very clear. Tom's not slacking it. Go watch the video that I just want to reiterate. Okay. He's not he's not, he's stressed. Okay. But he's still doing his job 150%. So let's not,
thank you.
Not dispute that. Okay. In case anyone from the school board is watching this, okay. And secondly, what was I going to say? Checking with the kids?
Yeah, you were just like, how are your students handling it?
Oh, the other thing is like, obviously you're working with teenagers, which is completely different. Like, I know there's kids with special needs. I know there's elementary school kids. There's, there's all kinds of needs. And I'm sure it's,
I know
everyone's situation sucks.
Like, different scenario for an 8-year-old versus a 17-year-old. Like, I get that. I can only speak for my thing here, which is high school kids, grades 9 through 12. They're doing okay. Like, most of them don't really like online stuff, but they definitely like the more relaxed part of it. Like, they can literally go to class from bed,
right?
Which is cool. Like, that's fine. I don't have a problem with that. Like, there's a big thing where it's like, you wouldn't eat in the classroom, so how dare you eat in a Zoom meeting? I'm like, half the reason you can't eat in my class is I don't want to clean up your mess. I don't have to do over Zoom. Clean up your mess. Eat all you want. Like, I don't care. Just turn off your microphone. Like, sure, why not? Like,
dude, I remember in freaking 7th grade. Did I tell you this story?
I don't know.
Sorry, this is a complete tangent.
Is this more secret bacon?
I was so hungry. Okay, I had a peanut butter sandwich in my backpack, and I just was so hungry. So I straight up snuck my hand into my backpack, started breaking pieces off my sandwich, and just like as quietly as I could, undercover, tried to eat bits of my sandwich. My teacher caught me and gave me like, what are they called? Standards. I had to write the preamble like 50 freaking times because I was hungry.
Yeah. See, that's like
I was hungry. It wasn't like I was trying to be distracting or sharing food with everybody.
I know.
I wasn't making a mess.
First day of 7th grade, I was in my science class, and
Mr. Kosha, I remember.
mine was Mr. Van Houten. I was in his class, and I was sort of like, I just sat at a table, and the table was facing, like, he was to my right, and I was facing the wall. So my chair wasn't facing the teacher. He was doing his first date thing. And I was like looking at him, listening to him talk. And then I looked straight ahead of me, and I'm kind of like high up on the wall were the classroom rules that were like number 1, number 2, whatever. And there were like a lot of rules. And I was like reading those. He was talking, like literally reading the classroom rules. And he was like, "Excuse me." And I was like, "Yes." And he's like, "You need to be looking this direction." I was like, "Oh, I'm sorry. I'm reading the rules." He's like, "You don't need to be looking at that right now. You need to be I was like, "I'm getting in trouble for reading the rules." Like, I'm not.
You would.
Yeah.
That's a perfectly Tom Buck situation.
Yeah. Like, of course. Anyway.
So what were we talking about?
How are the kids doing?
How are the kids?
I mean, it's rough. And in general, my area and our demographic, they're not super well off financially. It's pretty low socioeconomic things. There's a lot of struggles there. But it's interesting because from like very rough preliminary surveying, 40% of the families that were surveyed wanted to keep doing online classes, and 60% said they want to do a hybrid thing. And those are pretty rough numbers. But because of that, a lot of people are going, well, 60%, we just need to like jump into that. And I'm like, 40% of people saying no is actually like really a lot. And I think that should be paid attention to more.
Yeah, but I
that
also
after
feel like
after
people
9 months of
don't
it,
know
people
what they're
are,
signing up for when they say hybrid.
I know, of course. That's why I'm like, after 9 months of this, people are still opting in for it. Like, to me, that's powerful. When people think hybrid,
I just feel like parents don't want to deal with their kids at home. They
of course,
just go away.
We don't have kids for that reason. Yes. And it's, there's a lot of very valid reasons.
Right.
But if the reason is they need to go to school and socialize, they're not going to do that.
They're not, yeah.
There's no socializing. There's no recess.
That's the whole point.
There's no lunch breaks. There's no masks off. There's no sports. There's no events. It's literally sitting at a desk, wearing your mask, looking at a Chromebook.
Doing the same thing you do.
And basically doing online stuff because you can't hand physical things. I can't pass out papers. I mean, not that I do that, but a lot of because, hey, look, I just got my COVID all over this packet. You take it, you take it, you take it. Like, that's not a thing that we can do. So it's just, and that is an argument, which I'm happy to see people have brought up, is like, why are we doing this if it's just going to be the same, but with discomfort and a health risk involved? And I think that's valid.
It is stressful. And I had to stop reading the comments on our FB Union page. Focus on your purpose and the difference that you make in student lives.
That's probably the best, most practical advice.
I had to. I mean, there's a community group for the school district.
Yeah.
And, I'm a part of it. I feel like I'm part of the community.
Yeah. Well, that's why I joined it too, is I just want to have like a temperature gauge of what's going on. But I think it's a self-selecting group that participates in that
real
stuff.
vocal peeps up in there.
No matter what.
Someone's always mad.
Yeah. They were so mad that there wasn't enough work in the spring, and now they're mad that there's too much work in the fall. And I'm like, so which is it, Goldilocks? Like, I don't know.
When I was young, teachers were allowed to beat us. I wasn't into it. Oh boy. The unspoken rule at school is that it's basically babysitting.
Yeah. I mean, that's what it is, which is funny too, because my principal's very well known for going like, I wish you guys could get paid like babysitters. They get what, a couple bucks an hour per kid? If you guys got a couple bucks an hour per kid, you'd be making a ton more money than you do right now. The
only part I enjoyed in school was a lunch break. There were some teachers that I knew growing up that were so against tech. Makes me think that if they weren't willing before, this is a major wake-up call.
Which is a huge benefit. Like, just even Google Classroom is an amazing resource, and it's such a usable tool. And there's so many people that are just sort of hesitant to jump into it. Now everyone has to. Even today, I was telling my students, like, the fact that I don't have to like teach them how to check email anymore. They all have their own school email, but they used to never check it. If they did, they'd log in, there'd be 8,000 unread messages.
Yeah, spam.
And you're like, I sent you all the really important stuff. And they're like, it's in there. And now they know they have to check it like every day. That's awesome. Like, and that's a thing that there's no other way that would have happened. But now like communication is vastly improved because of it.
Hi, Aubrey.
Oh, hey, Aubrey.
And Emerita.
Hello,
just here
Emerita.
To support. Hi, guys.
Appreciate it. See, we need support.
Hi.
Anyway, that's
Emerita Miranda.
I don't want to just be complaining for
an
hour. But
so do you feel where's your stress level, Tom?
I mean, I don't know. I'm just a mess. But because it's also like there's positive stress. So for example, YouTube is something I really care about, but that means I have to carve out time for it. And like
But I think you did such a good job.
I try really hard. I try really hard, and I'm very happy with the balance that's been struck overall. But it's like there's a lot of different things happening. Plus, like, I mean, to kind of dive into it, like my dad died 6 weeks ago, and I've not processed it at all. So like that's a thing that's just in the back of my head also. And there's just that's a lot. That's a lot of stuff right there. I have 230 students. Try to have a personal life. I have like all our insane, weird personal tragedies that have happened. Plus just trying to take care of the needs of everybody. And it's just hard. Like, it's tough and it's exhausting.
I'm not a certified therapist, so I'm not sure what I'm supposed to say.
Therapist isn't supposed, they're just supposed to like keep probing, right? Like they're not supposed to tell you need to do this. They just go like, yes. Well, that makes sense because of what you said before. How does that make you feel? You're like, okay. Just to get you to be introspective on yourself.
Well, okay. I'll tell you this. I think you're doing a fantastic job.
Thank you.
And so work-wise, I'll remind you guys again, go watch the video that Tom just dropped this morning. That thumbnail though, that was me.
Which is crazy. The video's doing so well.
Because you included Zoom in the thumbnail.
I literally thought that was going to wake up and it was going to be like...
Yeah, and then you posted the wrong one on Instagram. And I was
posted
like,
the other one. I just wanted to do that
why?
Because I wanted to
I just straight up was going to comment like, this is the wrong thumbnail.
No, I just wanted to use that one.
So anyway, I feel like Tom has really... I mean, I'm always going to, paint him in this... It's always going to sound like I'm painting you in this like amazing light, but literally like so much of the stuff that you buy is out of your own pocket. Obviously like you mentioned this monitor is, from the school, but there's so many things like luckily it overlaps with your hobby.
I know I'm just so like, fortunate in that.
But you clearly go above and beyond. And, I think that I don't know if there's a way that you can compare this, but I think that your students look forward to your class.
I think you have pretty good attendance. Be enjoying it. Yeah. I have good attendance overall.
Like he's laughing every time.
Yeah.
Every class, every time.
That part, but it's like, I mean, I think once I heard like it was a stand-up comic, I forget who, they were like, I don't get paid to tell jokes on stage. I go on stage for free. I get paid for the travel and the tours and the this and the that and like all the stuff that gets to the point where I can be doing that. And that's kind of how I feel. Like the part where I get to just like connect and have fun with people who are excited about what I'm sharing. I don't need to get paid for that. I need to get paid for all the other stuff. And that's kind of where it is. But it's also like you said yesterday, I'm somebody who compounds things. And I think that you're very right. So if I have anxiety, if I'm anxious about a couple different things, and then there's one, whatever it is, that's the little drop that overflows it, everything just snowballs.
Snowball, dude. Yeah. You like just tap it and literally it's the worst day ever. And
but I also am really bad about, I don't know how to bring those things up until it gets to that point.
Yeah. But I think you're doing a better job.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. I think you're doing a better job.
I appreciate that. So that's a thing that happens.
I think we're both doing, because I suck at that too. It's like,
I mean, you've gotten amazing at it.
Like, I know.
Yeah.
I even had to put my pride aside the other day.
Yeah. You're incredible at it, and you've.
Well, it's easy with you, but
of course.
Anyway, I think you're doing a fantastic job. So there's work-wise, okay?
Okay.
YouTube channel-wise, I think everyone here is a subscriber of your channel.
A great situation.
I think you are killing it. 29,000 subscribers. You just hit 28. So we're, our pace is.
I was really hoping to get to 30 by the end of the year, and that seems very possible. Potentially this month. Like that's. Are
you crazy?
Real exciting. I mean, the numbers. Like, I really nothing happens, but it's still exciting.
He's gonna hit 6 figures. I would say by next summer.
Sure, that would be cool too.
So anyway, you're doing great there.
Yeah, and that's very exciting.
You're the best husband in the whole world.
Of course, yes.
But I wouldn't know because I've only had one husband. So I will say that I love you and adore you, and I'm so happy with you.
Well, I appreciate all of your kindness and support.
And I have no complaints.
And I'm very proud of
I'm not like, oh my God, you leave the laundry out. Oh, my laundry's in the
You
dryer.
do complain when I leave the soda in the sink, though.
Yeah.
Which is fine.
Not
It's fair.
cool. There was something else that I was going to point out to you. Oh, yeah. He always leaves a little controller in the freaking sofa. And it's annoying because when I can't sleep, I move to the couch and it's just in my face because I can't see anything. Anyway.
Like it's a controller for our sound. Because sometimes the sound goes out of sync.
You're a great dog dad. Fantastic dog dad.
Oh, good.
I think you're a wonderful son. I think your dad, it would be very, very, I mean, he was a fan. I think he was very proud of you, is very proud of you. Oh. And I hope you know that we all think you're doing a fantastic job. He's crying. I made him cry. Oh no.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Ugh.
I'm sorry.
You knew what you were doing.
No, I didn't. I swear. But I just want you to know because I think you do that compound thing and you lose sight of like.
No, I know. Which is
focus on the negative. And okay, Ron, you watched The Social Dilemma. Okay, I can't tell you how many people I have seen that are like, I'm taking a social media break. I saw one of my I was gonna say one of my favorite YouTubers. I haven't watched any of his videos, but I appreciate him as a creator. He's like one of my favorite people. Let's say he's taking a break from YouTube and he just hit 1 million subscribers.
Who's that?
Nathaniel Drew.
Oh, I know the name, but can't think of it.
He's just and he's like known for being this like really reflective, introspective, learning new things and languages and journaling and priorities and all this. And he's taking a break from YouTube. And I just feel like there are teachers who just do what they're told.
Yes.
And I really don't think that any of this bothers them much because they're just like, they just do what they're told. But because you care, because you're dedicated, because you are someone who goes above and beyond. I mean, literally yesterday, you are doing your civic duty on the freaking our city's public arts commission meeting, and also tuning in to a board meeting for the school district, which you don't even have to do. Like you're doing all of these things. And obviously, this is why I love you. You're going to do that. But I also think that's like, I don't think it's good for your mental health to be swimming in these, because 100%, I swear to God, if those parents saw what you were doing, if they sat down at a table with you, if they, I really want to believe that they would have respect for you as a teacher, as a person, and your, like your safety. I want to believe that.
Yeah, I do too.
But obviously when they're just pissed off that their kids like not, on track or whatever, and they're sending in these comments and you're just hearing that. And of course it's gonna be really hard for you to be like, not frustrated. It's hard.
It's really, really tough.
I just don't think that's good.
And I can easily like not, I can not follow a Facebook group or something, but there's stuff when it's like board meetings and things. If you don't see that stuff firsthand, what you end up getting is filtered information from one. It's just like watching a debate, like the presidential debate, like what a nightmare. But that like you're going to hear spin from whatever side on it. And if you sit there and watch the unabridged thing yourself, then you're going to see the full picture. And that's kind of how I feel with this stuff is like, I want to know the full plan. I don't want to know what like this group is telling me from this angle. I don't want to know what they cherry picked over here. I don't want to just miss out on information. And it's crazy because it's not like gatekeeping information. It's all public record stuff, but you just have to sit there and absorb it. And, which is crazy because overall I actually thought like that meeting was great, but it was just I don't know. It was like the taste that was left in my mouth after like a few things. Just it was the last straw, and I skipped the public comment section. I didn't even read that because that's where at the last meeting it was literally parents telling us it's our ethical duty and teachers should just quit and stuff. And then they had their kids write in public comments. They're little kids who didn't even know what they're doing, but they're trying to pull at some like heartstring of like, just let me play with my friends, and it has to be read into the public record like it's serious or like the kid has any idea what's happening. No, your second grader didn't want to go to a school board meeting and like public comment. You gave them a form and told them to write something down, and it's super manipulative and gross.
Yeah.
Anyway, this is why I'm not in a position like that.
Okay. Let's see. Let me scroll back up and catch up here.
Well, thank you. I feel better.
are you helping Tom train to defend his Teacher of the Year award? Do you think he can take any potential contenders? Well, see, okay, so
My reign is already over.
this is what I wanted him to do, because 100% this is what I would have done. Because I seek out positions of leadership normally, right? So I am very, very shy, but when I have a responsibility that I voluntarily signed up for, I like to use that and kind of, just kind of voice my perspective. And I think, as not just the school Teacher of the Year, not just our district's Teacher of the Year, but our entire county. I'm trying to see like what the UK equivalent of that would be, but I'm sure you understand. Like, it's like a big part of Southern California.
We are the 4th largest county in the state.
Okay, there you go. That can give you some perspective. Like, there's 30,000 teachers that were in this pool of who could have been selected, and Tom was the one.
There were 4, but
was one of the 4. And I really felt like I'm so surprised that no one has like asked you to say anything.
Oh no, not at all. But
I just feel like, shouldn't you have a place at the table?
I mean,
shouldn't you have a seat there?
Well, that's why when I feel frustrated, that is a thing. If I'm feeling frustrated and depressed and stressed out,
voice. If you're the model teacher that everyone else should be looking up towards.
Well, that's why it's like, okay, if the fact that resignation is even a thought, I think that like
he was nominated. You were nominated for California Teacher of the Year.
Yeah, by fact that I was the county one.
So in the running to be the state of California's Teacher of the Year, okay?
Which I didn't.
This isn't just like a gold star award. He didn't get it, but he should have. I bet they regret it.
We don't need it. It doesn't matter.
It's fine. Anyway.
It's like the least of anyone's worries at the moment.
So anyway, I just feel like I was telling him, I was like, you should see something.
I mean,
I don't know.
I'm not, my reign is over, like literally, but no, it's not. But I feel like I do feel like, imagine things went really bad and I did decide to just leave. Like, that's a story.
Okay, here. Tom, what about making a plan B to go full-time YouTube just in case? How do you feel about, we have talked about this. Oh my God, you guys.
It's just,
let me tell you who is the president of Tom quits his job so he can do what he really wants to do full-time. Right here.
But there's a big difference. I have seen enough people of whom I was fans try to make their YouTube channel their full-time thing before
the pandemic.
Really, well, yeah, sure, before the pandemic, but also before it was truly viable. And that's usually when you start noticing every video is sponsored, or literally like I have seen a video that had a sponsored segment in a sponsored set, like 2 sponsors. And I was like,
meta sponsored.
What is this? A sponsor sponsored the sponsor? Like, and fine. Every once in a while, something like that can be okay. Like, for example, this was actually great. Skillshare reached out to me, which is a very popular YouTube sponsor. And they're like, hey, you want to do something like that? And I wrote back to them and I was like, I'm not interested in doing sponsorship right now, but I am a teacher. I do actually really like Skillshare. I do think that it would potentially make sense at some point. So like maybe check back with me in the future or whatever. Because that kind of makes sense. Like, hey, I'm a teacher. It's a platform for learning stuff. Like, it makes sense. And they wrote back like, yeah, no problem. Like, just reach out to us anytime. Like, our door's always open. And I explained, like, I'm still figuring out like how I want to approach sponsorships, partnerships, if I do that. And they were like, oh, if you just want like any just sort of input, advice, whatever, like,
they're happy to sit down with you.
Yeah. And I was like, for, no obligation or anything. I was like, that's really, really cool. Because what you don't want is just to then every video needs to generate this revenue and that. And then it's like, you've just created a worse full-time job for yourself, which is not what I want. If I'm going to work for somebody else, I would love to just stay in my position where I have a salary and time off and benefits and stuff.
But guys, okay, first of all, Tom is Tom. He's gotten his channel to the point where it's at. We all see where it's going. Okay. And you have not compromised on your integrity and all of these things at all. And I don't think that should change. I don't think that has to change.
That's why it's just like, hey, let's just see where this trend is going and just see where it goes. But it has to be, you can't force that to like.
Well, so here's the long and short of it. Tom is probably never going to just leave his job. I don't think it'll ever happen unless the situation was, unless there was a decision made where he felt like it was not safe or he didn't agree with, like, to his core, and there was no other option. It would just be a very, okay, last resort. I'm going to walk away. I don't think it's going to get to that point, because as vocal as the parents are, the union president is also vocal.
We have a
teachers
real good
are
union.
very vocal.
Also, there's a huge teacher shortage, because you know what people aren't signing up to do right now?
So, like, I don't think it's going to get to that point, which is why I'm saying, like, I can't imagine. Tom is not the type of person to not have all the ducks in a row and everything prepared before taking on a new thing. I'm very much like, you jump out of the plane and build the parachute thing on the way. Like, that's, I just figure it out and go. He's very much like, okay, we need to triple check everything. I need the best, highest quality parachute thing. And I need the most certified, most experienced tandem person to do it with me.
Except when I make my really dumb mistakes, like dinner tonight.
Yeah. But when it comes to a career decision, that's what's going to happen. So yeah, I just wish, oh my God, I really think that okay, just imagine, guys, if Tom was not in a situation where he was being demoralized, okay, where he was literally in charge of every single moment of his life, not just you could already see what it's like on his YouTube channel, because he's 100% in charge of that. Look at it. It's amazing, right? Now imagine if that translated to his 40, 50 hour job, and he was able to dedicate that to whatever he wanted. I really think the opportunities that would come about would be absolutely amazing.
I appreciate that. Like, you didn't look at you finished and you're just like,
because I know you don't. It's not that you don't agree with me.
No, I feel
like if you were to be like, yo, I'm available, you would be fine. I think you'd be more than fine.
I think that will happen in its own time. And what I'm not looking for right now is like another job.
But let me tell you something, okay? If these people, these parents, whoever, continue to tell you that you are not doing your job, that you're lazy, that you're blah, 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 I'm not okay with that.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to let you listen to that.
I just ignore it. I have to do that. Yeah.
I'm going to pluck you out of there, and you're going to be doing YouTube instead.
Okay. You're going to impersonate me and make a phone call. Hello.
Anyway, I cut you off the whole time. What were you going to say?
I was just saying that's something that would, if something like that, okay. I have about 19 years left till retirement officially. I'm 11 years into my thing. I have about 19 years left till I can retire. I can pretty confidently say I don't want to be a teacher for 19 more years. And that's not even like teaching's good or bad. It's just like, I don't want to do that. Like, I want to do something else for my own, sometimes I'll have students, which is very sweet, and they'll be like, I want to send my kids here so they can be in your class. And I'm like, I love the thought behind that. But by the time you graduate, have a kid, that kid gets to high school and choose to take my class. I don't want to be here for them to take the class, because that would mean I'm just doing the exact same thing for like 20 more years. I just don't want that. But what that means between now and 19 years from now or whatever, I don't know. And so that's where
you're in charge, babe. Just saying.
I know.
It's a choice.
I can say that for me, I mean, tentatively 5 more years max. And so knowing that.
So let's all help Tom's channel grow so we can decrease that time.
Well, knowing that, it's just sort of like, what do you have to do to open those doors? Because it's also like, I don't want to go work retail again. Like, I don't want to trade one job for another.
Oh my God. Road, hi. If you're watching, this is literally your biggest fan. He probably generates the most watch time for your products. Hit him up. He's very capable.
Thank you. This has been Tom's job application.
Yes,
but not because you'd have to pay me a hell of a lot of money to get me to work for you. Anybody, period. I love companies, but yeah, I mean, pay me like way into six figures and then we'll talk, because otherwise, like, I would love to just keep my job and be in charge of my own things.
I don't think that's I don't think it's gonna be an issue, babe.
If you
But
know
that's
something
just
I don't
me.
know, that would be great.
Me scrolling Twitter randomly sees a pun, and oh, of course, it's Tom's tweet.
I like that this is becoming a thing.
You deserve and have earned the success on YouTube. You two are great together.
Thank you so much. And thanks for all your like insight as another teacher.
Heather just wanted to make Tom cry. I lost the comment.
Oh.
I'm off for 2 months. I got a jet. Much love to you. Bye.
Oh, adios. 2 months.
Oh, that's right.
Oh yeah. Taking a sabbatical.
I gotta send her a message. We are so worried about kids being on track, but I think kids can use that time to connect more with their parents and learn a lot about life, which they would not have time for normally.
There's a lot of that kind of stuff happening.
Oh, so this is like totally random, but Lady Gaga, I don't know, accepted some awards at like the MTV, was it the Music Video Awards?
Sure.
VMAs?
Yeah.
I don't know. The award show like a month ago.
Okay.
And she said something like really interesting that I didn't even think about, but she was like, she's convinced that whenever there's, you know, adversity, there's always something, you always come out better for it. I feel like.
Right.
And she said that she really thinks there's going to be a renaissance of all these different ways of creating and new things of art and the way that people are finding new ways to connect.
That would be
and I was
wonderful.
like, that's so cool. It's such a cool way to look at it.
Yeah, that would be absolutely wonderful. And just the fact that like people, you know, working from home is less frowned upon now. A lot of people have whatever their changes have made them reevaluate, like, did I need to be working my 80-hour-a-week job? Could I work like less? You know, could I do that kind of stuff? Because what you were talking about when it's like, imagine if Tom's in charge of the thing the whole time. My first thought was I could make this many videos a week and do that. And I was like, actually, no, I don't want to. I would like to not just like be the goldfish that grows to fill its bowl.
I think that if you were in charge, I think you could easily make more money than you're making right now. That's my thing. And be way more fulfilled and have way more of an impact. I mean, you change lives, but like
my program is called Impact.
I know the kids are amazing, and you know it. I just don't feel like, you know, because if you take that argument, it's like it's not your moral obligation to like teach every kid in the world, you know. But I'm saying, like, I think that you can increase your income and impact and what is it? Income
and outcome,
impact, and there's another I. Income, impact,
innovate.
I don't know, whatever. Okay. Anyway, I also seek leadership. Volunteered to become CR in my class in university. It was a tough 4 years, but I learned a lot. No regrets. What's CR?
Class rep.
Oh,
I don't know.
I have every faith that when Tom goes full time with YouTube, he'll make it without compromising his values and ethics. Authenticity is practically dripping out of his eyes. It's disgusting. 100%.
You know what I learned today,
dude? Like, that is honestly, like, there are times where I have to like hold my eye roll because this is Tom just being super with his integrity and all the things. Like, okay.
There's well, I like the authenticity thing. So in the video I did today, it was all about Zoom setups. I ended the video by going behind my desk and just showing the mess of cables, and explaining that I have no intention of fixing it. And I have gotten so many comments today of people saying, "Thank you for showing that. I feel so much better and so much better." And I was like, wow, because just in the little like tech world YouTube space, you see
like
everything's so curated and perfect and cable managed, whatever. And I'm like, mine is a mess. And it's
like
fine.
A thing like cable management porn or whatever.
Oh yeah. Which is cool. And I like doing that sometimes, but it's not practical right now. And it was like, that just taught a lot of like, oh, this imperfection is a thing that actually is something to connect with people over because
it's real, yo.
Yeah.
Destiny is knocking your door. At least part-time at first with an emergency fund and stuff.
Yeah. I mean, that is going great so far. That's how we got our new Nintendo
Up north
Switch.
Of 60. What about Tom doing private remote teaching? I'm sure many families who are well-to-do would pay for private lessons and tutoring.
That is a thing. It's like pod teaching or something where families are essentially paying.
I'm telling you, I really think that with your skill set, you were like so freaking capable. Like the Emmys could have hired you.
It's true.
Like, I think that there's so many. Like, I'm not you're lucky because you have options. Like I said, you're not like a pregnant woman who needs the health insurance right now. You know, you're not trapped in that way. We don't have kids' mouths to feed.
Just 2 dogs.
Yeah. Like, and you have such a skill set that literally can span almost any industry.
It is very versatile. That's the whole reason that I teach what I teach.
And you can, like, you know, you are, you know, you're not like entry level. You've had the experience. Your resume is pretty much your YouTube channel.
Yeah.
And your podcast.
Yeah.
Like, you could totally have multiple endeavors that don't have to take a lot of time, that you're 100% in charge of, that all add up to more than you're making right now.
That's the well, I mean, I'm already doing that to an extent. Like,
you're right there.
Yeah, that's why I just said,
I'm really trying to convince him.
It just needs to grow on its own.
If your mom is gonna, oh my God, if your mom is watching, she hates me right now. She's gonna be like, what about his retirement? What about health insurance that I'm also on?
I'm thinking of all of those things.
Don't worry, he's all the practicality.
I have a toothache and I need to go to the dentist, and I'm very happy to have insurance about that.
I think there's a pretty obvious short-term path where Tom could offer consultancy to school boards as to how effectively deliver online teaching.
That's true. We pay those people a lot of money. I got one of our meetings shut down once because I told everyone how much they paid the consultants. I sometimes when we have professional development in the before times, there'll be times when our entire school district will have training at the same time. And sometimes the trainings pre-COVID were virtual. So they'd have a trainer, consultant at like a main office, and it would be streamed out to all the school sites, and we'd all be sitting there watching it, just basically like a big Zoom meeting and like live chatting. But I would sign in with a different name. I would make up a name, and then I would just be making jokes most of the time. Not off topic in a distracting way, but
you know. You got booted.
Well, no, I didn't get booted. I got the chat shut down because somebody said, hey, I wonder how much they're paying these consultants. And I went and looked it up because, of course, it's going to be in the public school board things. Literally, like, we're hiring these people for this much. I was like, oh, it was $90,000. And then the chat got shut down.
Faith T. Tom should start his own school, that or be a university professor.
Ironically, though, university professors make way less money than high school teachers, unless you're tenured, which is virtually impossible. Sadly. But I appreciate all of this support. I appreciate.
To Steve says, I can never teach. I did that for my classmates before, and I get angry when they don't understand. The only thing I can't teach is like tech support. I lose patience so fast. I think my clients would disagree with me, but like my stomach is turning because you can't drag your mouse to the bottom left corner.
One of the most cliche, corny things that you hear as a teacher is like, they don't remember what you said, but they remember how you made them feel. And that is like the most true thing. So I kind of don't even care sometimes when a kid's like, but I still don't understand Adobe Illustrator. I'm like, doesn't matter. Like, if you really need to at any point, you'll learn it. You'll go on YouTube and you'll type in how to do Illustrator, whatever. What I care is that you have the confidence to know that you can do that.
That's cute. See?
There you go.
Teacher of the year.
But that's the most important stuff. Unfortunately, it's not like the stuff that, like, that's not the stuff that sounds good at like education meetings.
Tom needs to stop doing YouTube. According to my credit card statement, every time he reviews something, I seem to keep spending money. Well, I hope you're using those affiliate links.
The fact that my YouTube, yes, you can use the affiliate links, and then I use the revenue to buy more stuff that makes you use the affiliate. And
yeah, we're all paid at this point. Supporting each other. Can Tom do a decent Australian accent though?
Good eye.
Ooh, cringe.
You just have to say good eye, and it sounds like good day. Good eye.
Goodo. Steve says, only I have more road products than Tom. You know what? You need to freaking count that ish.
Me? Well, if you throw in work, the 2 schools that I have equipped with road gear.
Here we go. This should be like the quotation on the top of your resume, our job application that you're going to submit to Road. Okay. Road. Preston Jensen would not own a single road product if it weren't for Tom Buck.
Which, by the way, I'm trying to point to it. Here is the picture that Preston sent me.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah. Oh, you are the one.
Yes.
It's great. Look, it's on his wall. It's very cool. I actually wanted, when I saw that, I was like, oh, I want to make something like
It's a
that.
metal, it's a picture that's printed on metal, but it kind of pops out, so you could put lights and stuff behind it too.
Let's see. Class rep. Okay.
I see one that says Cheer Squad. Yes. Oh, Aaron is saying need B&H affiliate links. I have them and I've tried setting them up and they're very confusing for me and I don't know how to actually get the money. So
dude, you need to call them up and figure it out.
No, I have it like there, but like you go on Amazon and you find the product and it shows up and you say create link and that's it. B&H is like you create a bucket and the bucket goes here and then the link and you're like, at what point do I just get the money?
We need to figure that out, man. You're leaving money on the table. I hate it when Tom leaves money on the table. He's always leaving money on the table.
It's true.
So much money on the table. You know, like I get that you have a whole ethics statement and stuff, but within the things that fall in the things,
I'm trying. Hey,
can't leave money on the table.
I've spent the last few months figuring out Genius Link so I can get Amazon affiliate revenue from European things, and that finally worked. It took me like 3 months to figure that out because it's really complicated, and all of the websites are in different languages that you can't translate. So that was fun to figure that out. I'm sorry, I gave up on like China because, or I think it was Japan because I couldn't translate it.
Okay, well, you seem to be.
This was very fun, and I appreciate all of the support, and I appreciate you taking the time to help.
See, we needed to just tell Tom my insurance sometimes.
What is happening with the table?
Because you leave money on it, babe.
Oh, the table. I was like, this is a workbench from Home Depot. It's very accessible. We have like 4 of them.
So, how should we end this? Well, like what's the takeaway? How do you feel?
I think that the takeaway is that sometimes there aren't immediate solutions.
There are things that are not in your control.
Yeah. And that's something that I literally have to figure out. But what you told me yesterday was very important of like, if you make the decision, then make the decision and then be with it. And that rang through my head so many times today, like little annoying things popped up and I was just like, okay, like that's fine. Sure. Whatever. And I don't need to make a big deal of it. I don't need to get upset about it. I just do it and move on to the next thing. And that's okay.
Because like, I mean, I think Tom mentioned this, but like I learned this as an entrepreneur because when I, quit my job and had to make my own money, the pay cut was real significant. And I still had the same friends who like to do the same things that cost a lot of money. So it was a huge lifestyle change for me. And I did not complain. Never. I could not complain because I felt like how the hell do I have the right to complain when this is something I willingly signed up for? Like there were definitely times where I felt lonely and sad, but I never once like I didn't complain because it was always so easy for me to be like, look what I get to do because I'm doing this, and
yeah,
I'm sure right now it's hard to.
No, it's not that hard. It's not that hard. Yeah,
look what you get to do.
That's why
amazing.
Focusing on that stuff that should be the focus. What is that? That's a weird sound that happened over there.
The dogs are about to fight. So anyway, if anything, Tom jokes apart, you got our support. Can't say about any other YouTuber like, oh, that's so
that
nice
genuinely means the world.
That's amazing.
Well, this guy, look, Ben's making a cameo.
Oh, it's Ben. Okay, well, we gotta go take care of the dog. So, that's what you learned.
Yes, I appreciate.
Are you feeling better?
I do feel a lot better. And I appreciate everybody who listened and helped, and I also like the amount. It is crazy. I was thinking about this today. The amount of just nice random messages I get every day. Yes, we talk about the crappy YouTube comments, stuff like that. That is literally, I mean, statistically, it's probably 3%, 2%. Like, I know they stand out, but the vast majority is like, you just get flooded with like nice stuff from all over the world every day. And that is really amazing. And I am very grateful and appreciative of that.
Good. That's what you need to surround yourself with, babe.
Makes a big difference.
Gosh, I need to like print your comments and put them on the wall for you, babe.
I screenshot them. I'm sorry if I have screenshot your comment before and it's on my phone if that feels weird, but yes, it is nice to have all those.
All right. So we are going to end this. Preston, thanks for the show. Thanks for tuning in, guys.
Yeah,
We
thanks so much.
appreciate it. I mean, seriously, you know, one of the things that we want to do with this weekly live stream podcast is really keep it real. You know, these are like, it was awkward yesterday. I was like, is it weird that I think this would be a good couples table episode? But I just think it's like, I think it's an interesting.
We're showing the cables, the messy cables.
Yeah, like I think it's an interesting thing to see like how we work through things and like the things that we're going through as a couple and as people, and especially now. I don't know.
Yeah, I like that.
So anyway, thanks for tuning in.
Authenticity.
I think next week our goal is to talk about the social dilemma. So you guys have a whole week to go watch it if you haven't already.
Yeah. That's good.
And we'll see you.
It's time to clear the table.
Bye.
Bye.